living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, good morning from Paradise Servers. Happy Tuesday, December 16th. Can we believe the year is almost over? My goodness, went fast, didn't it? My name is Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Crypto Hitman. Welcome to Paradise, my friends. We have a lot of great stories to cover for you today. The Bears are in control. We're on yesterday, 10 a.m. like clockwork over the past couple weeks. Bam. Bitcoin takes a big hit. Ethereum even down even worse. Will we see a repeat of yesterday in the last few weeks? In about 18 minutes. We got 10 a.m. Eastern time. Will we see a repeat of the dump? Is the Santa rally canceled? Is there no hope for end-of-year rally? We just had jobless numbers come out. Actually, a little bit worse than expected. That means the Fed more likely to cut rates. That should spur on risk assets outperformance. We'll see. We got Bank of Japan selling. We got Bank of Japan increasing their interest rates and selling their equities. Is that not going to hurt the market? So it's the Bulls versus Bears end-of-year fight. That's the big story on our mind and probably on the mind of you guys. All right, with that, what's been your take on the price action last couple days? The Paradise Pump was not a thing yesterday, was it?
Well, we'll see here in 17 minutes or whatever if they're going to sell again. We were seeing a nice relief rally off the lows up to as high as $88,000, but seeing some red today as we go live. Maybe some people are trying to front run that seller that it should be selling here in 15 minutes. But we have seen yet another lower high on Bitcoin. You had the low down here at 80,000, then you had the low at 84,000. Now you just put in a pretty solid low at 85,000. You would like this to hold, but if that seller rears his ugly face in 15 minutes, it probably doesn't. So this still looks good and constructive, higher lows, but man, a lot of selling coming into place. We've seen Coinbase, we sold that thing at $370. That fell as low as $247 yesterday. Probably looking to buy this back. I don't know if we get back below that 232. So we're still watching, haven't bought that back just yet. And Ethereum trying to hold the $3,000 level. You can see a low down here at 26, a low down here at 27. This was a Fugazi wick. We talked about this yesterday on Bitfinex only. The only exchange that had this wick was Bitfinex, so that's a weird one. But then you had the low just put in at 2,900. So again, higher lows as we continue to hold around these 3,000 levels. Pretty critical levels for Ethereum, because if there is a sell-off, there's going to be a little bit of a capitulation because there is people buying here. This is Bitminer, SharpLink Gaming, really buying up some Ethereum at these levels.
Thank goodness for Bitmine. Holding up. Even Tom Lee's out here just like holding up the entire Ethereum market on his back. Shout out to that guy. But yeah, it's a critical moment, as we've been saying for the past few weeks. There's a lot of people who, they believe in the 4-year cycle. Now there's talk of sellers who are tax harvesting, right? Trying to capitalize on losses to reduce their tax burden. That's an end-of-the-year phenomenon that happens every year. And now you have what seems to be Wintermute having gotten blown up in the 10/10 liquidation event, and now having to sell off tremendous amounts of Bitcoin. That was yesterday's story, but it's really been going on for really weeks now if you look at their order books and their wallets. So, I'm not a believer in the Santa rally. Let's just go back to that. I am not a believer in the Santa rally this year. Maybe we get back to that like 95K level that Nick's been talking about, which is important for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. But I don't think we break 100K sadly this year. 2025, we're going to look back and say, yeah, that was actually a bearish year. We're going to look back and say that because I think 2026 is going to be the blow-off top bullish year, probably towards the latter half. So, yeah, Santa rally fizzled out. Bitcoin is where it's at. ETH is doing okay, I guess. Thank God for Tom Lee. But right now the Bears are winning, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think even Michael Saylor bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and the price still goes down. So, I mean, it's the tug of war between the 4-year cyclists and 5-year cyclists fully underway. Big whales in Bitcoin have been selling in the highest amounts than they've done in the past 5 years. So obviously, they're like, hey, I don't know if it's 4-year or 5-year, but I'm selling, making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. I'm chilling. I don't care anymore. And those are being replaced by institutions, by small retail, and we can talk about some of those stories as well. But it'll be interesting here. Santa coming in 9 days from now. End of the year coming not much further after that. And it'd be really nice to get $95,000 Bitcoin. That's all we're asking for. 95,000 by the end of 2025 really spurs that momentum and morale leading into 2026. Puts MicroStrategy in the green for the year. Gets them to get more investment. Gets them to buy more Bitcoin and continue to spur upside objectives.
Some hopium for you guys. Couple of data points. So typically after FOMC meetings, the last 5 out of 5, and Nick, I don't know if you have this post, last 5 out of 5 meetings following the FOMC meeting, there is, I believe, 1 to 2 weeks of a downtrend. Right. Typically going into it, there's a bit of an uptrend, at least on the last few. People get excited, rate cuts coming, yay, buy the rumor, and then sell the news. And for 1 or 2 weeks, you get a downtrend. The positive thing to note is you then get an uptrend after those 2 weeks of downtrend, and we're coming up on those 2 weeks. So I don't know if I shared that one with you, but that's a data point to keep in mind. The second data point is, historically, in December, it's actually the latter part of December, the last 2 weeks, where you get most of the outperformance. So, look, little hopium there. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I'm not holding my breath, but it could happen. And there are, of course, a lot of macro positives sort of, would seemingly be acting as tailwinds, haven't shown up in the price. But a couple of bits of hopium for you guys for Santa to come through end of the year.
And talking about hopium, we have this chart here. Fidelity reports that the Bitcoin 4-year cycle may be over. Investors believe we could be entering a super cycle. For reference, a super cycle in commodities in the 2000s spanned nearly a decade. We also talk about when the gold ETF was created. It went on a 10-year bull run as well. And look where gold is today, still putting in new highs, over $30 trillion asset as we speak. So, does the same apply for Bitcoin and crypto? Has the 4-year cycle, stopped happening with the extension of the business cycle, looking like, hey, the ISM, I guess you could say, hey, the ISM just didn't have a bull market this cycle either. There is no rule that the ISM means, hey, we're having a 5-year business cycle or 6-year business cycle. Maybe the business cycle just goes to zero and we're in a recession and everything goes down. I don't know. But the ISM has not happened. The 4-year halving cycle has less and less of an impact because the halving percentage is a smaller and smaller cut. And historically, Bitcoin has followed the ISM each and every cycle, with the ISM marking the exact top on Bitcoin. Right now, the ISM has just been in a downtrend in consolidation for a very long time, still in the 40s. The previous Bitcoin cycles, we had tops in the high 50s, 65, and even 68, and we're still at like 47 to 48 as we speak on that ISM.
For the ISM to expand, you need liquidity conditions to ease. Typically, right? Companies are not going to feel comfortable investing. They're not going to feel comfortable hiring unless, they're confident in the economy, and also they can borrow at lower rates. So, I'm not surprised the ISM has been trending down, like just underperforming or low for the past 2 years, and that's what the Fed engineered in order to combat inflation. And so it all kind of lines up. It all makes sense. We've been pretty consistent in saying that for Bitcoin, especially Ethereum, altcoins to outperform, you need quantitative easing. We haven't had that. We've had the start. We've had the pivot from QT now to what looks like QE Lite, but that just started like a week ago. We haven't seen QE sort of in full effect yet to drive down those long-term rates. That's really what we need. So, yeah, it's been tough. 2025, outside of Bitcoin, BNB has done nothing for us, but we're long-term and we stay bullish over over long-term time horizons.
Rima's in the house saying, yo guys, what's up? Crypto is not. Martin Max King's in the house saying, yo. We got Gavin Wright. What's going on, Chad? No, Nanso06, happy Tuesday. Good to see you. Wyckoff Stock Market Institute in the house. Smash the like, share, and subscribe button, everybody. We need it. We got good morning from Miko Chapo. And then Hex Bull says, guys, it's all over. Enjoy the holidays. But then the very next message is, guys, Bitcoin gonna rally. Make that right shoulder pattern around 110K. Mark my words. Hey, from going from it's all over here at 85,000 to a rally that's going to top at 110, I will take that any day of the week. $110,000 Bitcoin will usher in an over $4,000 Ethereum and allow some altcoins to breathe, which means some possible trade setups. Remember, if Ethereum goes above 4,000, our SBET and Bitminers will be even more in the green because they're still in the green even with Ethereum where it's at. We're long Ethereum from lower levels. We're back long Bitcoin from lower levels. And our PTGC, Surf, and whatever will rally if Bitcoin goes to 110K, Ethereum goes to 4K, and Pulse Chain does a 2X. So going from it's all over right here right now to 110K rally. I don't know about you, but even if you're making a head and shoulders pattern at 110, I would take 110K Bitcoin right now. What about you, Crypto Amaro?
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. Still probably wouldn't sell my Bitcoin because, I'm one of those crazy delusional guys that think it's going to go to $1 million one day. And plus, I don't need the money right now. So, hollering my Bitcoin. ETH's another story. Would probably start to take some profits if we get a meaningful relief rally. But, I don't know when that's going to happen. Bear is fully in control. But maybe that's the thing, right? Like, if you look historically, what typically happens is you're bearish. The shorts pile up because everyone thinks the market can only go one way, which is down. And then bam, that's when the market makers, the exchanges, everyone decides, all the insiders decide to pump the price, wreck the shorts, and then you got the reversal in effect. So who knows if it plays out this time. The Bitcoin sharks have been adding. I don't know. I'm curious about this post here. The definition of shark
right here, 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. And what's a whale then?
1,000 or more.
Nice. Okay, so at least the quote smaller whales, the sharks, are still believing and adding here. So it's always that push and pull, guys. You have people buying at these levels. There's no doubt about it. And I do think they will be laughing all the way to the bank sometime in 26. But it's been brutal 25, folks. Thanks for hanging in there, and good work to anyone who's still locked in and paying attention.
Yeah, I wonder how I guess this has to be on-chain individual wallets, because it'd be interesting that this probably doesn't include many institutions unless they're using a singular wallet. But yeah, the sharks are buying in a big way. While we were just talking about earlier, the headline that whales have been selling the most amount of Bitcoin that they've seen in the past 5 years, and that started when Bitcoin was at like 116,000. Remember, there was the individuals who sold like 9 billion worth of Bitcoin, and then 1.5 billion, and then 600 million. Those are all individual entities that were selling out their long-term Bitcoin positions. And a lot of them, when asked in private by the custodian, is just saying, hey, I don't know how long this bull market goes, but I want to breathe easy and not worry about it for the next 2 years if we are in a bear market. And that's why. I mean, it's really easy to breathe easy for 2 years if you sell $9 billion worth of an asset that you spent $50,000 on.
Yeah. Well, they're in a different position than the rest of us. I mean, the rest of us are trying to read the tea leaves and figure out, is this, the start of the crypto winter? Are the 4-year cyclists right? Or are we right? And we're actually moving into a super cycle, a 5-year cycle driven by liquidity, by the business cycle. And do we see continued easing and Fed intervention by, Trump intervention as well? Do we see the bulls regain control here? My guess is sometime in 2025.
Just replying to CZ here. Dictate.
That's important. Oh, but I share you a great CZ post.
Yeah, that's what I was to.
Yeah,
CZ here says, if you are ever jealous of people buying crypto on the cheap and able to hold them through the cycles, think about what they did in moments like this. You're only buying cheap crypto when nobody else wants to buy it. When fear is high, I didn't know if you guys saw, but the fear and greed index was back to like 10 or 11. Remember, we hit a new all-time low of like 6 off the previous $80,000 low. Now we're back to 10 or 11, and we're sitting up here at like 86,000, 87,000. $7,000 higher on Bitcoin, but the fear and greed index is back down to almost single digits. And yeah, I mean, you either buy when nobody wants to buy, or you happen to get really good timing. You chase into a narrative, which we try to do, catch some green candles that keep turning green. And right now, clearly, we're not in the market part of the market cycle where liquidity is driving into Ethereum and into altcoins where you can make narrative plays and momentum plays. So it comes to the fact of the matter: do you go in all cash and you hold out for Hexpool's $40,000 Bitcoin right here, right now, or $12,000 Ethereum? Or do you think that these dips line up with the fundamentals outperforming the price and you try to find ways to make more money or redeploy cash? Remember, we still have 33% of our cash to buy Bitcoin. We sold it higher. We sold Ethereum above $4,000, just bought it back at lower than it is right now. We have cash from a Coinbase trade. So yes, we have a lot of longs when it comes to altcoins and various other hodl bags, but we have been helping you trade these bigger macro moves and just deploy cash at the lows once again.
For those who think they're going to time the exact bottoms and they're going to scoop up that $12,000 ETH if it gets there, or the $40,000 Bitcoin if it gets there, it ain't going to happen, guys. Just simply is not going to happen. If Bitcoin does capitulate down to 40K, for example, do you think you're going to have the balls to buy in then? Do you think you're still going to believe in Bitcoin? Or you'll have written off the investment and you'll say, oh, no, I'm not jumping to this toxic cesspool. I'm sticking to stocks, or whatever the case may be. So, to me, you're looking to increase the size of your bags, kind of take some guesswork out of it, take a lot of that emotion out of it. Dollar cost averaging is your friend. And if you have some dry powder on the side, you still believe in Bitcoin and crypto, buying into the fear, that is how you make it. So not an easy thing to do. I just don't think people are very good at timing bottoms or having the courage to buy the exact lows when everyone else is saying it's going to zero.
Let's see what Bitcoin and ETH are doing here. Ethereum still 29.50. Bitcoin 87.200 with 2 minutes to go until the algorithmic selling from Wintermute probably begins. Let's see if they keep selling or if they're finally done.
I mean, it's going to end eventually. They don't have unlimited assets, and I don't know if it's Wintermute, to be fair. I think Wintermute's selling has been well documented on chain. I guess you can see their wallets. They're identified right there on the blockchain. I don't know if we know who this seller is, the one that appears at 10 a.m. every day. Could be Wintermute. Could be another one of these big, Jane Streets, Jump Trading. There's a lot of these big sort of hedge fund like market making type firms out there that have a lot of crypto, and I think 1010 affected them more than we realized. But I also think, look, we're dealing with the Fourier cyclists, we're dealing with the whales. There's a lot to deal with right now. There's a lot of bears out there, and we're just fighting through. But for everyone who's still bullish in their heart, like I am in this industry, just know that eventually things will shift. We'll get bullish again. Prices will go back up. Nothing goes to zero. Nothing goes down forever. My guess is we start to see meaningful relief rally, maybe back up to that 110,000 level sometime in early 2026. I just don't know if the next 2 weeks we see anything much in the way of bullish price action.
Talking about interest rates, the Fed decision rates probabilities on Polymarket is 75% no change, only 23% for a 25 BPS cut January 27th. I continue to be on the side that I think we're going to have more cuts coming. Probably see a cut in January, March, April, and then maybe even a cut in May, because we're going to get a new Fed chair in May in our estimation. We've been saying this for a very long time. So far, we've been spot on. We've had 3 cuts so far, but it's only 0.75% total. And of course, those short-term interest rate cuts do take time to affect the overall market. But if you guys are in the housing market, or if you guys have credit card or debt or whatever it may be, at least this is starting to finally have a little relief for you guys. And if you can wait till March or April to try to buy a house and save another 0.75% on your mortgage rate, that would probably be a smart idea as well. Now, talking about interest rates, what is another reason that, hey, we think January could be another cut for us? Well, breaking news, U.S. unemployment coming at 4.6%, expectations at 4.5%. Weaker job market means more rate cuts. Now, this isn't much of a miss, nor do I really put a lot of credence behind these numbers, but I'll let Crypto Amaru kind of explain why this means more rate cuts are coming.
Well, first of all, I think we should place that $100 bet on Polymarket for the rate cut. I'm surprised the odds haven't moved up in our favor after this unemployment data came out. But yeah, the Fed's target, I think, is around, like, they don't want to go above, I think it was 4.7, 4.6 or 4.7. So we're right at the outside limit of what the Fed said they were comfortable with in terms of unemployment numbers. Now, we can argue till we're blue in the face as to whether these numbers are real or they're fugazi or should we trust them or not. Fact of the matter is the Fed trusts them. They look at this stuff. This is what they look to. They're not looking at the Truflation stuff and the real-time data or outside sources. I know they look at it a little bit. But this is, they put a lot of stock into these numbers. And so, yeah, my guess is we do end up getting the cut. It goes back to our overall theory of where we see these trends going with interest rates. The trend typically goes in the same direction it's going up until something dramatic happens. And we've been seeing weaker and weaker labor market, and we've been seeing lower and lower inflation as the months have dragged on. And this, 25 basis point cut here, 25 basis here, isn't enough to change the trajectory of the economy, which is, sadly enough, heading in the wrong direction. So I think the Fed, too late, Powell. They're wrong again. They should have gone more dramatic with the cuts. The labor market's suffering. Interest rates have been way too high for too long, and I think we get the cut. So let's place that $100 bet on Polymarket and do some live content around that. Could be fun.
Yeah, and on the opposite end, Japan is cut rates. Now they're talking about Japan rate hike to 75 BPS is confirmed. Odds are now 97%. Giga bearish for markets. This did come out at 5:07 a.m. Maybe this is why we saw a bit of a sell-off in Bitcoin and some of the markets yesterday. I don't have a strong opinion. I don't think it's giga bearish for markets. Japan is one small economy, but it is interesting that they are now at the point of raising rates and we're still trying to figure out how to cut them. How do you see this Japan rate hike potentially affecting Bitcoin or the other markets moving forward?
Well, this has been a story for the past 2 or 3 weeks because expectations have been that Japan will raise their rates. And what that does is cause the unwinding of this, what's known as the Japan carry trade, where investors were borrowing money for basically free from the Bank of Japan or the banks in Japan, and then using that money to invest in assets, equities, I think bonds or treasuries everywhere, right? This money was invested around the world, and when they raise the rate, that debt essentially becomes due, and you have to unwind that trade and sell those assets. And so that's been a story for the past few weeks because Japan's been looking to raise the rates now. The only positive I see on this is that it's already priced in. It's already priced in. But the other thing about this, and I don't know if this post has the information, but the Bank of Japan apparently holds like 200 billion or maybe even more of U.S. equities that they may be looking to sell as well. And so you'd expect to see at least some impact on the stock market. I know it sounds like a lot of money for the stock market. It's actually not that much. So maybe we can find out the exact details on how much stocks the Bank of Japan owns and how much they're looking to sell. But big headwind here. My only hope with that is that it's already priced in, and that when the rate hike happens, it's like, all right, old news, and then we move on to the next thing.
Yeah, the last 3 times the Bank of Japan did hike rates, Bitcoin dumped by over 20%. You saw in March 2024, July 2024, and January 2025. But was it really the Bank of Japan hiking rates, or was it market uncertainty and other outside forces? Lark Davis here says that it was other outside forces and catching people off guard. In July 2024, the Japan carry trade unwind took the whole market by surprise, and a lot of forced unwinding happened rather than people being able to prepare, hedge the bets, or find income or cash from other people. In March and April of 2024, Bitcoin had hit an all-time high and saw a sell-off extended by tension in the Middle East, and of course it already had the all-time high print, so a little bit of a blow-off top that helped things go down. And then the other one that was in March of 2024, remember, was the tariff FUD coming into play, which obviously affected markets and was talked about a lot more than the Bank of Japan raising rates. So we'll see what I know Hexbull is going to say. This is the final nail in the coffin. Bitcoin bear market is here. We're going to 40 to 50,000. Ethereum's going to 1200 to 1300. But what do you think? Do you think that the other rate hikes is just a proxy of timing, or do you think it had a bigger impact on the global markets than people give Japan credit for?
Well, very rarely does price reflect just one singular event or one singular sentiment. It's the sum of all of the sentiments and the fears and the greed and everything, liquidity at any given time. And so, could this rate hike cause another major crash? Yeah, I guess. But to me, it's more likely to have already been priced in. We just had a 35% correction from the all-time high. So I don't really see this in and of itself being enough to drive the price down another 30% when it's already been a known thing. It's already a known risk. There's not a lot of uncertainty around it. It seems like it's guaranteed to happen. The markets have had time to prepare, digest it, and remove some of that uncertainty around it. So no, I don't think this in and of itself would cause a 30% correction, but I mean, gosh, hard to predict things in this crazy world, crazy market that we're in within, in crypto, everything's so manipulated and seemingly random at times.
Bitcoin 87,400, 7 minutes after the seller was supposed to be selling. Maybe they changed their time. Maybe they ran out of Bitcoin to sell. Maybe they're done selling. I don't know. Good to see a little bit of a green relief rally after the dump that we saw yesterday. And this are the trades that we're talking about, guys. We had you sell Bitcoin up here above $118,000. Told you about the bullish divergence here on the yellow. This was the rotation video. This is when gold topped out exactly at 4,400, and Bitcoin ran from 100,000 to 116, 117,000. Then, of course, we have the official buys, 33% long down here at 82,000, 33% long at 92,000. Still have 33% cash position to buy Bitcoin that we sold up here at 118. So, sitting okay, but obviously we want the bull market to continue. We want the super cycle, the 5-year cycle, whatever you want to call it, to continue. And we want much higher than 126,000 for the all-time high for Bitcoin during this cycle period. That would be a complete and utter failure, not only for Bitcoin only doing a 2x of its previous high, Ethereum not even getting a new all-time high. BNB did what? 90% higher than its all-time high? I don't know. Solana didn't even hit an all-time high. I mean, this would be a complete flop of a cycle. This would have, been wild. Wild price action if it's all said and done and Hexbull ends up being correct.
I mean, yes.
But meanwhile, $110,000 rally, I would take it. And then everybody will talk about the bearish head and shoulders, but at that point, 110K puts you right back into the range. Then there will be a battle between the bulls and the bears there once again. The bears will still deny the 4-year halving, or will still deny the 5-year cycle, still say there's a 4-year cycle, say, hey, we're about to get a head and shoulders and a crush, and it'll be another inflection point. But I don't know about you. From 87,000 to 110 is quite the move on Bitcoin, especially with Ethereum being an outperformer. That's going to put Ethereum back between $4,000 to $5,000, and I know a lot of us would be happy with that as a start.
At some point, the 4-year cyclists and the bears will have to admit defeat. I mean, right now they're just dancing on our graves. I mean, we're out here waving our white flag. But at some point, if we're above $110,000 Bitcoin, for example, and we've rallied there over a few week or a month-long period, sometime in Q1, you have positive macro news surrounding that, perhaps the Trump stimulus. By the way, the Secretary of the Treasury is out there stating that Americans can expect a $1,000 to $2,000 rebate check from the big beautiful bill, tax breaks. So that's a nice tailwind for you. But in any event, if we do rally back to 110,000, market's looking bullish. It's, say February of 2026. I think at that point, don't the 4-year cyclists have to admit defeat?
Yeah, and
if it's that timing, then it's the crypto winter. It's not going to have rallied to 110. It'll be at 40,000.
Yeah, a lot of the bears and a lot of the 4-year cyclists are going to sit there and they'll argue until you put a new high in. So until Ethereum really gets above 5,000, Bitcoin has to get above 126 to really make them go in their grave or admit defeat. So we'll see until we get there.
Yeah, but okay, maybe the most stubborn of them. But if you're just looking at sort of the historical precedents and the dates and so on and saying, okay, the trend is going to be the same as last time, Well, by Q1 of the crypto winter year, we were down, 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 crashing, crashing, crashing for weeks and weeks and months, heading back towards fresh lows every other day. That's what happened in the last bear markets. So it wouldn't have to happen again if we're in a 4-year cycle and this is the crypto winter year, 26. I would say so.
90s Baby MAGA says ETH at 5K would be a dream come true. And then Rima says, I'm 50-50 to be honest between bull and bear, but selling and then see it pump would suck. So staying active, trading here and there, and DCA, that's my strat. Do what you're comfortable with.
Let me share this. Let me pop that up here. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about DCAing for a while. Can't go wrong with that. Truth is, no one really knows what direction the market is going to go tomorrow, next week, even a month from now. Very difficult to predict these things with any high degree of certainty. But I remain very bullish on this industry over the long term. I still think there are many, many more macro tailwinds than there are headwinds. From a Fed standpoint, liquidity, Trump administration, legislation, new head of the Fed. We can go on and on, but I think long term we're still in good shape for 26. But DCAing, staying active, trading here and there, I think that's sound approach there, Rema.
Yeah, we talked about the Bitcoin chart, the Ethereum chart, Coinbase. We're still in cash looking for lower. And we brought up about, 5 or 10 Twitter news pieces. Is there anything else you guys want to see us talk about here in the chat box? Anything else you want to touch base on? Crypto Amaru, are you looking to buy a new house and you're rooting for rates to go down so you can get a better mortgage? I mean, what's your place? You looking to refi? I don't know when you bought that place.
No, man, I'm staying put. I've sort of accepted that I'm not going to be making a lot of money here in 25, obviously. 26, maybe we start to see some more income coming in from crypto paradise activities. And hopefully the Fed does enough to re-stimulate the economy. I mean, I got to be honest. We're here in the U.S. and I think a lot of people are struggling, dealing with the fallout of the high inflation under the Biden years. The rates are still high. Wages haven't gone up. The job market's been essentially frozen and deteriorating for months now. It's not we're not in a honky-dory spot at this moment in time. But what gives me confidence, zooming out 3, 6, 9 months from now, whatever, is that whenever you see the economy in this shape, and then you add to the fact that the Fed needs to roll over trillions in debt that comes due in 2026, well, you better believe that the powers that be are going to do what they need to do to engineer a recovery, to bring some confidence back to the economy, the American consumer, get the job market started again, and give themselves an opportunity to refinance the debt at a lower rate. That's really what they're all looking to do and needing to do. So, I don't know what's taken them so damn long. They should have been aggressively cutting rates to get out in front of this deteriorating market and this bad economy and refinance the debt. But I guess, they're taking their baby steps up until something breaks, and then they'll say, oh shit, we were too late. And they'll say, oh God, okay, now we need to cut rates and start QE aggressively because, otherwise we're going into a recession. So I'm waiting for that, basically, to happen. Let's root for something to break. I don't know about you, Nick, but it's not like my friends and I are, truly struggling by any means. But, I mean, the prices are high. No one's that happy right now. And, I think the Fed needs to step in and save this economy sooner or later. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm going to say it again because I haven't said it in a while. I think the high for Bitcoin and crypto is going to happen in November around the GTA 6 launch. So, people can't afford to live the real life in reality. So they're going to be living their life in GTA 6. There's going to be crypto integrations. There's going to be servers set up by famous people such as Aiden Ross. They're going to have in-game crypto, in-game transactions. I think they're going to connect to the Ethereum network, and that will be the high for Bitcoin and crypto of the 5-year cycle by the end of next year, right around the holidays, everybody getting GTA 6, talking GTA 6, full porting their life savings onto that game. And then this time, rather than just some Fugazi Fortnite bucks or whatever they call them, it's going to be Ethereum, stablecoins, and in-game assets that are all driven by blockchain technology. So that's when the high will happen. And yeah, I mean, life as far as cost is going up everywhere. Obviously, the subsidies and everything for the Obamacare is through the roof. I mean, life insurance, health insurance, all that is way up. Obviously, we had the 26% inflation under the Biden years, and now you've had another 3% this year under Trump. Inflation never goes away, with a target of 2 to 3% a year and always compounding. So the dollar spending power continues to go down and to the right. Meanwhile, if you don't get, under the past 4 years, if you didn't get a 26% raise while Biden was in office, you went backwards in your career. Now this year, you need to make another raise of over 3% to continue to get progress or gain back some of the percentage that you lost over the past 4 years. So if you get a 5% raise this year, you really only got a 2. That's the nature of the beast. That's what people are starting to understand with inflation. It never goes away and never goes to zero, and it always compounds.
Well, that's why you got to be invested. You have to be invested into something. And I know crypto's massively underperformed this year. It will absolutely outperform at some point, probably 26 when everything's risk on again and liquidity conditions provide for it. I do like that take around the GTA 6. I don't know if that in and of itself is going to cause the pump, but what will cause the pump and the timing around that is very fortuitous. That is when the midterm elections will be held next November, right? And we've been on record stating that Trump administration is going to do everything in its power to improve the economy leading into that. Otherwise, they're going to get walloped. I mean, if things are like they're at now, economy's not much better, still bad inflation, they're going to get crushed. It's the economy, stupid. That's what it always is. So make people's pocketbooks better, improve the job market, improve the financial markets, and you have a fighting chance to retain power in the House and the Senate. So they know that, and that's going to correspond perfectly with the launch of the GTA 6, unless they delay it further. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, is it more of a slow grind up in 26? Do we start to get a parabola at some point? Or maybe, hell, crypto winter's already set in. Who knows? But one thing that's going to help us, and this actually, we should have covered this today. Thank you, Emma, for reminding us. NASDAQ has confirmed the strategy will stay part of the index. And that fear was absolutely hanging over the markets. Great point. Great point there. I don't know if the MSCI issue has been fully resolved. I don't know if it even necessarily matters anymore, because if NASDAQ says strategy's staying in there, then does it matter what MSCI says? Maybe we can ask Grok or something. But hopefully that fear has been resolved and we don't have to feel uncertain about MicroStrategy anymore, because that was a little scary, wasn't it?
Yeah, Michael Saylor's strategy hangs onto the spot in the NASDAQ 100 index, even with price selling off and Bitcoin being in the dumps. The annual NASDAQ 100 rebalance saw 6 companies dropped and 3 new additions, with changes taking effect on December 22nd. But Bitcoin Treasury Company's strategy hung on to its spot. What to know, MicroStrategy will remain in the NASDAQ 100 index despite a major reshuffle, which saw several household names dropped. The firm's business model, which involves stockpiling Bitcoin, has drawn criticism from analysts and index providers, with MSCI considering excluding crypto treasury companies from its benchmarks. The NASDAQ 100 rebalance saw 6 companies dropped and 3 new additions, with changes taking effect December 22nd. But Strategy's Bitcoin heavy strategy secured its spot. So this is less of a vote. It seems like there's still a vote around MSCI, but this is more based on balance weighting and values of the underlying companies. And Strategy made the cut. So if it's making the cut, with Bitcoin down, with cash reserves down, with having to pay dividends, with all the FUD, I think that is a good indicator of the future. If Bitcoin can indeed continue to rally and turn around, putting in higher lows, heading towards 100 or 110,000 or even new all-time highs, is going to put Strategy in a very good position.
Yeah, my guess is MSCI backpedals and decides to keep it in its benchmark or its index. My guess is there will be legal action in advance of that. If Michael Saylor thought, oh shit, they're really going to do it, he would get out in front and try to file an injunction, which would prevent them from doing that. So we'll have to monitor that story. Very positive to see it hanging onto its spot in the NASDAQ. But I go back to Rema's latest comment here in my mind. It could be retesting the trend line and resume up after. Yeah, I mean, the chart doesn't look horrible on Bitcoin. I mean, I know it's been shaky over the past few days here, but the chart looks pretty constructive from my standpoint. This could just be a retest, and then we start to head back up. I tend to think that seems to be a likely outcome, is continued slow grind up after we kind of retest here. But I don't know where's your line in the sand, Nick, where you say, all right, it's broken down, and we're heading to sub 8, below 80K.
Well, we keep talking about wanting to keep putting in higher lows, and that's what Bitcoin's been doing. Again, we had the massive sell-off at 80 to 80,000. We gave a buy there because all the indicators are massively oversold. The fear and greed index was at like 6. We saw a relief rally. We came down for another capitulation sell-off, higher low. We had another relief rally, another capitulation sell-off, higher low. So you just want to keep building these higher lows. Obviously, you're going to have people talk about, hey, even if you rally up here, this could be a mini head and shoulders here. And if you break the neckline below 84,000 roughly, you're going to retest this $80,000 Bitcoin, which you don't want to do. So let's just try to keep some momentum, get higher lows going right here, right now. You really don't want to flounder and retest these levels. I mean, this is just getting ugly down here. But again, oversold on RSI, just coming off of it. Oversold on Technometer, a higher or low in place. And so far, the normal daily sell-off happened 22 minutes ago, hasn't put us to a new low below the 85.3 that we saw yesterday. So again, I think it's going to come down to, can we get any kind of tailwinds over the next couple days to allow us to break up to new higher levels and attack this 300 moving average right at 95,800. And remember, we want to see 95,000 by the end of the year to get some kind of tailwind from the MicroStrategy trade as well.
Starting to think we may not even need explicit tailwinds in terms of some bullish news story. We may just need Wintermute to stop dumping billions, right? And whoever this mysterious seller is that appears at 10 a.m. every day, for them to stop selling, and for some of the bulls to step in and start buying, right? We need some, Binance or whomever is holding a lot of cash, to step in and start buying. That's probably all it's going to take, right? To me, Bitcoin feels very suppressed. I mean, if you look at the price of every other hard asset, and I'm including equities in that, but obviously gold, top of the S&P 500, silver. I saw even platinum, or maybe it was palladium, I forget which, was going on a run just the other day. Random metals are just pumping. So every other hard asset under God's green earth is running at all-time highs. And here's Bitcoin, nearly 40% down after 10:10. So very manipulated, suppressed, wherever you want to call it. I don't know if it takes a specific catalyst. The sellers need to run out of Bitcoin or stop selling. And we start to get a relief rally here. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, it'd be lovely if gold falls short of this previous all-time high it had and drops down again. Because remember, when gold was selling off, this is when we did the rotation video. It ended up being the exact top in gold. Bitcoin rallied from 80-something thousand to 116,000. And then ever since gold has been marching higher and then we had the liquidity crisis, Bitcoin has been going the opposite direction of gold, just like it was going right here. When this sell-off happened, Bitcoin rallied from $80,000 to 116,000. And it's gone from 116,000 back to 80 as gold tried to reattack these highs that it had previously up here.
So this is gold's fault?
Gold's fault. Blame it on Peter Schiff.
Blame it on Peter Schiff, yeah. So to me, we're looking for boogeymen. We're looking for people to blame. We're obviously fearful and angry. Where are we in the emotional chart
fear
now?
and greed has us at 10. We're all the way back down to the lows.
Right. No, I know we're extreme fear. But the emotional market psychology chart, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're probably angry and or depressed. We're angry, right? Where else could we be right now? I know that certainly the feeling in the market is anger and depression.
Well, hopefully not anger, because that means that Hex Bull is going to be right and Bitcoin's about to get cut in half. We're going to 40K. Hopefully we're in disbelief, or we're in the hope cycle. We're on the dip of the hope and before euphoria. This is us hoping that we're going to bounce here at 80,000, 85,000. to get some kind of euphoria and thrill.
Well,
And
no, you
hoping
can't.
we're not
You
here
can't get
on
the hope.
anger.
We haven't had the rally to get to the disbelief yet. We've just been going down, right? So we can't be there. I think we're.
So
I think we're
you're
pretty
hoping
much,
we're right here. You're hoping we're just starting disbelief down here, final capitulation, and we're about to move, huh?
I mean, no. I mean, look, who says that anger and depression period has to last a year? Haven't we been in anger and depression basically since November, or even before that, October, when the crash started? Or I guess the crash. I guess you got to get the crash first, and then the fear and the anger sets in. I don't know. That's why it's fun to debate these things. But there's no rule, by the way, that says that this is a multi-year peak to trough sort of emotional roller coaster. You can have these rallies and the feelings and the emotions on shorter time frames. There's no rule that says this is a 4-year thing. So yeah, look, no one really knows. That's why it's fun to debate these. We want to hear from you guys. Are we in anger, depression, disbelief? Are we in hope? I'm not feeling very hopeful right now. I don't know about you. But, well, if any bulls out there, maybe you guys are feeling a little bit of hope right now. We want to hear from you. Rem is feeling suppressed and depressed. So there you have it. But yeah, look, it's been not an easy 2025. The hardest part, I think, about it, honestly, because we've lived through many bear markets before. The hardest part was the reality completely being misaligned with expectations. Expectations were, hey, this is the blow off top year. Bitcoin's gonna hit all-time highs, 200K, 150, whatever. Alt's gonna go on a run. Trump, he's gonna save us. Meme coin super cycle. All the stuff we were hoping for and expecting, frankly, in 2025. It's been the opposite.
Right, even us, we're not 4-year cyclists, but even the 4-year cyclists who are now bears, that was the theory. Is like, all right, 2025 is the year. That's where you make all your money, and that really you only made money on Bitcoin and BNB. Everything else, I mean, you've had a couple 3-day meme cycles here. You had a little rally there that we made some money on. We had the Fuck 95 rally. We were still up big on PTGC on Pulse Chain, but that was up way more than it is now. And even the 4-year cyclists who are now bears were expecting much more fireworks. I mean, BTC did a 2x. Not even. I think the last high was 69,000. We hit 126. So Bitcoin, for a full 4-year cycling, didn't even do a 2x. Ethereum went to a new high by like $5 for 5 minutes. BNB didn't even get you a 2x. And, you had a little bit of outperformance on Pulse Chain only if you were smart enough to understand the new token tax system and get into PTGC or Surf. Other than that, it has been a doldrum, or you had to be a quick mover. You had to flip stuff, not days, weeks, or months. You had to flip stuff in hours. And even Murad talking about the meme coin super cycle having that euphoria pump in 2025. He round-tripped everything down 90% as we speak.
Oh, I don't think anyone made money in 2025. Very few people made money in 2025. I mean, look, if you were bullish on Bitcoin, just long Bitcoin and just held spot, you probably did better than most. But if you were dabbling in alts, if you were doing leverage, I mean, if you were doing anything on a lesser known chains, I mean, it's been a bloodbath 2025 from an altcoin standpoint. Bitcoin's done okay, but yeah, 69 to 69K, the previous top, to a top of 126, and that's it. I'm just refusing to accept it. So yeah, I think 2025 is when the bear market ends. Absolutely, Martin. I think you're spot on there. And 2026 will be better. I mean, can't get much worse, can it?
Oh, okay, we can have Hexbull be right and we go to 40,000. That would be a little worse.
Yeah, that would be worse. So we got 90s Baby MAGA, Hope. He or she is feeling hopeful. Nonso's in the disbelief phase. I'm in anger and depression. Nick is somewhere feeling euphoric. I don't even know.
Euphoric. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm trying to debate these charts, right? These emotions. Everyone's feeling something different. But yeah, man, 2025 has just been tough year for crypto. I did see an interesting post, actually, speculating that a lot of retail's attention has actually shifted over to the prediction markets. A lot of younger traders who may have otherwise been like in memes or altcoins or anything crypto related, the mind share and the capital has shifted to the prediction markets.
I could definitely see that. In sports betting and everything else, it's a easy, you bet this or that, you have a chance of winning. You're not relying on the markets itself. I do think that that could switch back quickly to actual investments, because with those prediction markets, some of them have timelines of 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. It's kind of like when you bet early in the season who's going to win the Super Bowl, and then your money's locked up for all that period of time, and you may or may not win. Versus when the markets are actually moving and there's green candles and activity and things you can trade, buy, speculate on immediately and get immediate feedback. I just think, again, the best marketing is green candles, and we're not having it. You're not going to get people to FOMO into the markets when they don't see an opportunity.
Yeah, that retail probably has shifted their attention. We know that. I mean, there's no retail here in the market right now in crypto. So they did shift elsewhere. Prediction markets are seemingly doing well, I guess, among the younger folks. But that can easily and quickly change when the market gets exciting again. Green candles, okay, there's opportunity to speculate, make money over in crypto. They'll absolutely come flooding back into the market. One thing that would be nice to see happening in advance of that will be the passage of this market structure bill. And I did see some information going back and forth yesterday, I think, from Paul Barron, that's a good channel to follow. Apparently, some of the Senate Democrats, the names that we love to hate, like Elizabeth Warren, tried to insert some like super banking friendly language into the Senate version of this legislation.
Interesting.
And it's now been slowed down, basically. I don't think it's dead by any means. I don't think it's, eventually something will happen there in 26 with the market structure bill. But we can't let Senator Warren get her dirty, grubby little banking-friendly clause all over this legislation and end up screwing crypto, because that's what she's looking to do. Right. But they won't let that happen, thank goodness. But I guess my overall point is, if and when that bill gets passed, ideally we start to see less of the manipulation and leveraged flush outs, which is also hurting retail, and it's hurting confidence in crypto. If you can't trust the market, you think whales or insiders or whoever is going to manipulate and steal all your money, then maybe guessing who's going to win the Super Bowl is a better thing to speculate on. Just saying.
Here's the rainbow chart of Bitcoin, and this is why this has been so different and why we think it could be elongated. First of all, the ISM hasn't done nothing but look at the Bitcoin performance for this bull market. You can see here we never even made it above green, and look at it compared to other cycles. You had a big rally, a capitulation sell-off, then kind of what we're seeing now, like, oh wow, we're rallying good, sideways, parabolic. Sell-off, capitulation, rally, oh look, we're doing good, parabolic. Sell-off, rally, capitulation, oh, parabolic. And now this one, what do we have? I mean, is this the relief rally, and this is our parabola right here just to get us back to green? I don't know. But man, even though you have lower and lower volatility and lower highs as far as the contracting of the rainbow rather than the expansion, the upper bands, the bull markets have always ended in either red or orange up here. We didn't even make it out of green. The upper band to orange is still putting you, into the 200, 300, 400,000 range, with the upper red band being, 600, 700,000, depending on your timeline here, with the million happening in 2028.
This is a perfect illustration why I believe, along with many of the top analysts, we just showed you the story from Fidelity, believe that we're in a 5-year, we were in a super cycle. Because this price action from, 2022 to today looks completely different from every other cycle. And wouldn't that make sense now that the Bitcoin ETF has been passed, and that institutions are here, and that nation states are here, and the sophisticated investors are here, that you wouldn't have these massive FOMO-driven, retail-driven rallies, but you'd have kind of a constructive, slow grind up chart as the hedge funds and the pension funds and the whomever, big money players in Wall Street are just kind of trading it on up. It lines up, it's logical to me, but this looked completely different than every other rally. And to me, it's because retail's not really in control anymore. It's Wall Street, it's big money, and they ain't looking for, big 80% runs followed by 70% crashes. That's not how they operate. So the markets change. You got to adapt to it. But for us long-term holders and believers, I don't think it's a bad thing because I think they continue to grind this thing higher over time.
Just wanted to show that because I was scrolling and saw that before we wrap it up. Again, we've talked about Bitcoin price, Ethereum price, Coinbase, the macros, some news articles. Bitcoin 87,263, approaching the high for the day. Coinbase up 1% to 253, still red for the day. I like to see that because we want to buy that back. And Ethereum trying to fight for 3,000 at $2,940 as we speak. This is a critical moment for Ethereum, trying to recover and try to gain back that $3,000 mental level.
Tom Lee, I hope you're listening. I know you have a couple billion left to deploy. Maybe not quite that much, but continue to buy the dip, good sir. Continue to buy the dip.
Right. Just buy 100,000 ETH every week, please. Keep buying. Thank you.
I mean, he has been.
Yeah.
He absolutely has been, and happy to see it. You need other whales and other believers to step in and also support the price. It can't just be one guy, one institution, sort of carrying Ethereum entirely on his own back. So if you hold ETH, the problem is, look, because it's you can't say to anyone at this point like you'd be crazy not to sell, because there's a pretty good chance, I guess, the 4-year cycle is still a thing and we're heading into a crypto winter. I don't believe it personally, but it's not completely out of the realm of reason to say that. And so it's like, hey, if you believe that, I guess get out of the market and hope for your crash. But as always, be prepared to be wrong because the market has a tendency to surprise people.
I think we'll end it on that, wrap it up, see what other kind of meetings we have, what other alpha we can get behind the scenes, and hopefully a period in this market cycle comes soon where the alpha and the daily live shows provide not only macro fundamentals and insights to news articles, but we can actually give you real-time trades and picks that are going to get us gains like we saw a couple months back.
Gains? What are those? I've forgotten what that feels like or what that word even means. My goodness. Yeah, so we want to hear from you guys. Are we in anger, depression? Are we in the stage where we're just joking around to deal to just cope? That's the joking phase, I guess, right? How can we have a 4-year cycle? It was always a bear market with a small relief rally. I mean, on altcoins, certainly been bearish for years. But Bitcoin, I don't think you can say it's been a bear market. It's been kind of a slow grind up. I mean, it has gone from 16,000 to 126 and now back to 86. So Bitcoin's done well if you got in at the lows. But it hasn't. We never got euphoria. We never got blow off top. We never really got retail interested in it. So yeah, 2025. Cheers to you. I'm ready to move on to 2026. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, you're writing off the last couple weeks. A lot can happen in a couple weeks. Let's get 95K. Let's get it to 95K. Yeah. Come on, Bitcoin.
That's the Santa rally. Who's been on a Santa rally?
Get to 95K, please.
All right, we're out here begging to Santa at this point. That's the phase of the market. We're begging to Santa. That's where we're at now, folks. But great stuff today. We'll be back, as always, with another live stream tomorrow at this time. And until then,